and today we are going to design the home page of our website. So this is the web page that we will learn to design today using the basic HTML and CSS coding. So let's come on this code.org environment and access the Weblab on this. So I'm going to enter my login credentials over here. For accessing the Weblab, we need to hit this create button, and then we need to click on this view all projects option appearing in this beautiful cascading menu. So automatically this is a page we are going to get redirected to. Now here in the bottom we can see this view full list button. Let's hit this button. So this is where you will get to see the Weblab option. Now we can hit this option and access the Weblab environment. So this is the Weblab environment. Now if you want to rename your project, so you can hit this rename button and let's write down something like home page design. Okay, so this is what we are going to do today. Now we need to first identify the various parts of this web page. So there are three different parts in which we can divide this website, or you can say this home page, into. The first part is this header part, in which this text is getting reflected right on the top in the left side, and there are three hyperlinks which we are able to see on this navigation bar. So there is a navigation bar in the header part, and there are four other text which are getting reflected on the navigation bar. Now then there is this main section where we are able to see this Geeks for Geeks image, and there is a text on which we are able to see some kind of animation getting reflected, and then below this there is a text written in italics. Then after this there is a button. Okay, so these are the different elements that we need to define the code for, which are present in this main section. Then there is one more section of this web page, and that is this footer section, in which we are able to see a text getting reflected right in the center. And everything whatever is getting reflected in this main section, it is in the center, and right on the top also everything is centrally aligned. Okay, so we are done with identifying all the components and all the parts of this web page. Let's now come on this code.org environment and define the code for accessing, for bringing, or you can say for getting all the required elements reflected on the stage area over here. So the first part that we are going to define the code for is this header part. So we have a navigation bar in this header part. Let's first make use of this header tags. Okay, and inside this header tags I am going to make use of this nav tags. Nav stands for navigation, because as you can see we have a navigation bar over here on the header, in the header part. Right, in the header section we have a navigation bar, so that's the reason we require these nav tags. Okay, now inside this nav tag we have this text, code with Geeks for Geeks. So I'm going to have a separate division for this text and a separate division for these three hyperlinks which are floating on the right side of this navigation bar. So the first division I am defining is for this code with Geeks for Geeks. Let's copy it from here and place it inside this division tag. Okay, now as you can see, this code with Geeks for geeks is getting reflected in a bold font. So what can we do for making it bold? We can make use of header tags. I think it is a good option. So now this text is going to get reflected like this over here. Okay, so it is perfectly matching with this one, right? Now let's define one more division inside this navigation tags, which we are going to make use of for defining the three hyperlinks which are visible to us floating on the right side of this navigation bar, sorry. Okay, so the first one. Now what is a tag we can use for making a particular text a hyperlink? So we can make use of a tags, right? And in this href I am going to pass the link of this project, so that in case the user hits any of these hyperlinks, he should be redirected back on this home page, because we don't have any other page right now. So that's why I am putting this link of the home page over here as a value for this href tag, href attribute. Okay, and now we can close this a tag over here. Now the first hyperlink that we have is home. Let's write down home like this over here, and we can enclose it now in between these a tags, anchor tags. Okay, fine. Now let's copy this whole thing, and I am going to paste it like this twice over here. So this second one is going to be for this about us. Let's write down about us over here, about us, and the third one is going to be for contact us. Okay, so as you can see, all three hyperlinks are visible to me right now on the stage area, and also the text is visible to me right on the top. Fine. So we are done with defining the required code for these, hyperlinks and for this text part. Now let's come on this main section. So we need to come out of this header part first, and let's make use of this main tag. Let's end this over here because it is a container tag, so that is the reason. We need to define both the starting tag as well as ending element for this tag, right? Inside this main tag, I am going to have a section tag. Okay, and let's close it also. Let's define the closing section tag also, because it is again a container element. Alright, fine. Now inside this section, what are the different things we have? So we have an image over here, then we have a text, and then we have one more text in italics, and then there is a button which is visible to us over here in this body section, and everything is in the center. So let's define the required code for getting the required image visible over here on the stage area. So what is the attribute, or what is a tag I can make use of for accessing the image? Of course, img is the name of the tag that you can make use of for accessing the image, but I would like to put this image in between the division tags. So I am defining a separate division for the img tag, and inside this div I am going to put this img. How can we access the image? So first of all, we need to add the image to this platform, and for adding any image to this Weblab, you can hit this add image option, and it is going to redirect you on this manage assets part. Now here you will get to see this upload file button. You just need to hit this button. Automatically you are going to get redirected on one of the location present on your computer. So okay, and let's come on this desktop and select the required image. So the required image is this one. Fine. Okay, so as you can see, the required image is successfully added, and now it is visible to us over here. Okay, now we can make use of src attribute, as you guys very well know about, for accessing the image on this stage area. Let's now close this img tag and see the image is visible to us over here on this stage area. Right. Okay, so we are done with defining the code for this image thing, and now we need to define the code for this text, okay, on which there is some animation we are able to see. So let's make use of a separate division tag. Now what is, okay, let me just change it back to English. Fine. So we are going to have a separate division for this text which is getting reflected over here. Welcome to Geeks for Geeks. I am copying it from here. Let's come on this code.org environment, and here I am going to make use of bold tags in order to get this text reflected in bold letters over here on the stage area. So as you can see, the text is now visible to us over here. Okay. Now we have we have two more things. One is this text which is getting reflected in italics. How can we get it over here on the stage area? We can put it inside this section tag in between two italic tags. Okay, so it is again a container tag. That is the reason we need to define both on tag and off tag for this italic element. Fine, and now this text is visible to us over here on the stage area. Let's now define the code for bringing this button also over here on the stage area. How can we do that? We simply have to make use of this input tag, and then let's make it a type of button. So you can pass this value button for type, and just because we want to see this view more getting reflected on this button, so there are two ways you can do it. One is you can make use of this attribute value. You can write down view more like this. Fine, and then you can, okay, so as you can see, the view more button is visible to us over here. The second way you can do it is by writing view more like this, and then you can enclose it in between the button tag, not the button tag. Okay, this way I think it is not possible. We are not able to get the required output. So let's change it to, let's make use of this value attribute only. Yeah, now I think it is going to give us the correct output. Yes, so we are now done with bringing all the components which are there in this main section over here on this stage area. Okay, let's now define the required code, the required HTML code for this footer part. So we have a text which is getting reflected in this footer part. How can we get the footer part? So we are going to have a separate division for the footer part. Inside this division, let's make use of this tag named footer. Okay, and because we have a text getting reflected over here inside this footer section, so for this we can make use of p tags, paragraph tags. Let's copy this text from here, and I am putting it over here. Let's enclose the paragraph tag. Okay, now when you refresh this stage area, you will be able to see the footer text also over here on this area, right? Let's make it geeks. Yeah, now it is perfectly fine. Okay, let's now style all these tags which we have used over here in this HTML document. So as you very well know about this code which is connecting this HTML document to this style sheet. Okay, it is the link attribute with which we are connecting this style.css file, this file with this HTML document in which we have written our HTML code for these components which are getting reflected over here. Okay, so the first thing that I would like to uh, style is, let's define a class for this division, for this first division. So the name of the, let's define a class with name logo. Okay, so that we can access this header with the help of this class logo. Fine. Now let's define a class for this main section also. So for doing that, but before that, I think we have something over here. We have one more division in which we have defined the code for bringing these three hyperlinks over here. So what we can do, we can define a class for this division also. So I'm going to define a class with name, let's say main menu. Okay, fine. Now what else do we require? We are required to define, I think rest everything is perfectly fine. We will be able to access it. We will be able to access all the components over here with the help of this tag section. So I don't think that the classes are required to be defined for these division tags. Let's leave it like this right now and come on this CSS file. Now when you will come on the CSS file, by default you will be able to see some code already present on this file over here. So you can eliminate everything. Okay, let's now first define the code for the navigation tag which we have inside this header section. Okay, so this is a navigation tag which we are now going to style. Okay, now the first thing that you're able to see over here in this header part is that the navigation tag, the background color of the navigation tag is black. So let's define the background first for the navigation. So I am passing this black as a value for this. Okay, now let's define a width for this navigation tag because we want it to be always 100% white, so we can pass this value 100% for this width property of the navigation bar. And then what kind of display we would like to have for this navigation tag, that's what is very important for us to mention. So I would like to have a flexible display so that it can be mobile responsive also at the same time. And then we would like to have some space also, in between the text, in between this text and these hyperlinks over here. So how can we do that? We can make use of this property justify content, and then let's pass a value for this justify content. So I'm going to have this space between value for this justify content. Okay, and what else do we need to do? We need also some alignment. We need to align the text also which is there inside this navigation tag. So for that we can make use of align item. Okay, align items property, and let's align them in the center. So this is what you're going to get as an output now. Fine. Okay, now why we are not able to see that code with Geeks for Geeks? Because it is also of black color. Okay, that is the reason we are not able to see this code with Geeks for Geeks. But no problem, definitely we'll be able to see it after some time once we are done with defining the required styling code for this text. Now, the second thing that I would like to define the code for is these hyperlinks over here. I would like to style them. Now for accessing these hyperlinks, we can make use of this class, okay, which we have defined for the division tag in which these hyperlinks are present. So how can we access this class? We just have to write down the name of the class and then we can place a dot just before the name of the class. Okay, now we can first play with the width of the components which are there inside this class. So I would like to have 40% of width for these components. Okay, fine. And I would like to also have some space in between these components. So what is the property we can pass the value for in order to have some space in between these hyperlinks over here? So you can make use of justify content. Absolutely right. And let's pass a value for this. Let's make use of space around. Okay. Now we can make use of this a flexible display. Okay, so this is what you are going to get as an output now. So it is working perfectly fine. Now what else do we have to do? See, the height of this header, or you can say navigation bar over here, is quite big as in comparison to this one. So let's define a height also for this navigation tag. Let's make use of this height property. Okay, and let's have a height of how about 15 VH? VH is for viewport height. Okay, so that's how you can increase the height of the navigation bar. Fine. Okay, let's come back on this index.html file, and now I am going to style this code with Geeks for Geeks, which is currently not visible to us. Now how can we make it visible? See, the text color over here of this text is white. So in order to give it a white color, we can style it using this class logo. So what I am going to do, I am going to make use of this class logo, and using this I am going to access this h3 tag which is present inside this class logo. So let's do that, h3. So how this platform is going to understand this code now? It is going to read it like whatever h3 tags are present inside this logo class, apply all the properties which we are going to define inside it on all those components. Okay, on all those things. So we would like to have a color of this white color for this text, and as you can see, the result is visible to us over here now on the stage area. So it is perfectly fine. Okay. Now what is the next thing we are required to do? So we are done with customizing the appearance of this navigation bar. Now the next thing that we are going to define the CSS code for are these components which are present inside the main section over here. Fine. So let's do the needful. Let's go back on this CSS file and define the required code over here. So how can we access the components which are present in the main tag? We can make use of this main selector like this. Okay. You just have to write down the name of the tag. Okay, now whatever components are there present inside this main tag, you will be able to access it over here like this, just by writing down the name of the tag. Okay, writing down the name of the top most tag. Okay, now I would like to have a width of, let's say, it should be always 100%. Fine. So whether it is a mobile view or the person or the user is accessing it on the desktop, he is going to always see this kind of width, this kind of view. Okay, so if it is a mobile view, he is going to see it like this, and if it is a desktop he's using, so he's going to see the web page like this. So the width of this main section is always going to be 100%. It is always going to cover the entire web page. Okay, now let's define something for the height part. I think 75% will be a good choice. Yes, 75% is good. Okay, let's now define a display. So display is going to be flexible. Okay, now we can do something for the content, because as you can see the content is getting reflected right in the center. Right, so for getting everything in the main section reflected right in the center, we can make use of this justify content, and let's pass this value center for this. And one more thing that we can do is we can make use of this align items property. Now when you'll refresh this code, you will be able to see the required changes, okay, over here. Besides, I would like to reflect all the text also in the center. So that's how you can, customize the view of this thing, the components which are there in this main section. Okay, so we are done with defining the required code for the main section. Now, one thing which is looking odd to me is the way this button is getting reflected over here. As per this home page, as per the view of this home page, it should be below this text. Alright, how can we get this kind of view for this button on this stage area? So what we can do, we can come over here on this HTML document and let's make use of BR tags. BR is for break line. Now we can put two BR tags in between this text and this button. So it is going to push the button on the next line. See? So now we are able to see the required output over here on the stage area. It is looking perfectly fine. Okay. Now, as you can see, there is some animation happening over here on this "Welcome to Geeks for Geeks" text. How can we define this kind of animation using CSS tags? So for doing that, we can make use of this property @keyframes. Okay, and then you can define the name of the animation. So I would like to define this name, change border. Inside this, now you can put different values at different locations, at different what you want to see at different time. Suppose initially you want to see the color, the background color of this text, to be red. So what you can do, you can make use of this 0% value, and inside these two brackets you can pass a value for the background. Fine. Then you can copy this thing and let's paste it 2 to 3 times, and I'm replacing it with 25%. So after some time the background color should change to, let's say, blue. Fine. Then after some time the background color should change to let's say yellow. Then after some time, so you just have to increase the percentages. Okay, then after some time I would like the background to change to green. Then after some time I would like to change I would like the background to change to let's say background cyan. Okay, now how can we apply this animation code which we have defined over here on this text? That's what we have to learn now. Okay, let's come back on this HTML document, and here do we have we defined any code, any class for this text, welcome to Geeks for Geeks? No, we do not have any class for this welcome to Geeks for Geeks. So let's define a class for the division tag inside which this text is being placed by us. So how can we define a class? We can make use of this class attribute, and let's define a class with name change text. Okay, now with the help of this class over here, I am going to access this text. We just have to write down the name of the class, and before this we have to place a dot. Fine. Now inside this class we have this text in between these two bold tags, right? So what we can do, we can write down B also. Okay, now this platform is going to read it like this: whatever is present inside the B tags which are there present in the class, apply all these properties on those components. That's how this environment is going to read this whole code now. Okay, now how can we apply this animation on this text? So there is a keyword, there is a property you can make use of, and the name of that property is animation. And after that you can write down this the name of this animation over here, and I would like to see it after 1 second. Okay, and as you can see, the animation was visible to us some while back. Yes, it is visible to us over here. And now if you will pass this value also along with everything, so you will be able to see the animation for infinite times over here on the stage area, right? Okay, and besides that it should be a linear animation. Okay, so we are done with defining the required code, and if you want to have some border also for this text, you can write down, you can make use of this border property, and let's define a border of 7 pixel, and it should be a solid border, right? There is a solid border over here which we are able to see getting reflected on this home page for this text, right? So we are going to pass this value solid for this border property, and it is a red border that we need to see. Okay, so as you can see, the animation is visible to us over here happening on this code. Now this all your coding needs in one place is coming on the border, coming on the border of this text. So what we can do, we can define some margin for this text, and I'm going to have a margin of 3 pixels. Okay, so it is not working. Let's have a margin in the bottom side. So let's have a margin of, let's say, 5 pixels. It is again not working. Just a second. If I'll make it 12 pixels, or let's say 50 pixels. Okay, so it is not working right now. Why is it so? We have to check it out. Okay, let's cut it from here, and instead of defining it for this text, let's define it for this italic text. Okay, how can we access this italic text? That's what we have to see. So this italic text is present inside this section tag, right? So we can write down section, and after that we can write down I over here like this. Margin top. No, it is not giving us the correct output. Let's see if we can do it with the help of BR tags. So I am going to place one BR tag. Okay, so this is what we are getting as an output, but the space is somewhat less in between this text and this italic text over here, right? Okay, so let's remove this BR from here, and in order to get the output we can make use of margin property like this. Is it going to help us in getting the required output over here on the stage area? No, it is. So it's an inline styling which I have done. Okay, sorry, not inline, it was internal styling. Fine. How can we create a gap in between this text and this part over here? That's what I am looking for. Okay, so just before this let's do one thing. Let's define the required code for styling this footer part, and after that we are going to come back on this thing. Okay, so for accessing the footer part we can write down footer like this. Fine, and I would like to have a width of 100% for this footer section, and then background color. We can define some background color for the footer. So what is the background color which is getting reflected on the original web page? So it is, I think, dark cyan. Let's search for dark cyan. This is the one, I think, yeah. Okay, and then we can have because the text over here is getting reflected in white, so we are going to pass white as a value for this property color, and I would like to see the text getting reflected in the center. Let's pass center for this text align property, and what should be the height? Okay, so I would like to have a height of let's say, how about 50 pixels? I think 50 pixels will do. Okay, so this is what we are getting as an output right now. Fine, and what else can we do? We can define some padding also. So we would like to define a padding of 50 pixels again. Let's see what is the output we are going to get over here. Okay, so it is coming perfectly fine. What else are we left with? So okay, so we are done with defining the required code for this footer part also. Now let's run this web page on a bigger window and check out the output. So you can paste the link over here in the URL part of the browser, and this is what you are going to see as an output now. So this is the desktop view which is visible to us over here on this window right now. Okay, so it is perfectly fine. Now the only thing that we are not able to get the output for is this part of this main section. Let's try to understand the code first. Okay, so we have kept this welcome to Geeks for Geeks inside this bold tag. Alright, and for this main section, what is the space, what is the width have we defined, what is the height have we defined for this main section? Okay, so we have a height of 75%. Now if I will increase the height to 85, let's see what is going to happen. If I'll make it 95, okay, let's check out the output on a bigger window. Okay, so the height has increased, but we are now not able to see this footer. What we can do, we can reduce it to 75 again. Let's reduce it to 75 again. %, this is perfectly fine. Okay, everything is perfectly fine over here. The only thing we are left with is how can we define some space in between this text and this welcome to Geeks for Geeks. Let's do that. Let's resolve this issue now. Okay, so this is welcome to Geeks for Geeks, and this is all your coding needs in one place. Now how about if we can define a separate division if we'll define a separate division section for this italic code. Okay, so this will not resolve the issue. Fine. And if I will eliminate this division tag from here, okay, this is not going to help us in getting the desired output. Change text, it is perfectly fine. Then animation border, okay. If I will enclose it in between two paragraph tags, will we be able to get the desired output or not? Let's check it out. Yes, now we are able to see it getting perfectly reflected over here, right? And let's eliminate these division tags. Okay, and then we need to eliminate one BR tag also. Yeah, now it is, I think, perfectly fine. So that's how you can design your website's homepage. Fine. I hope you guys enjoyed this lecture a lot. Do like and share this video in your groups, and do subscribe this channel, Geeks for Geeks. Thank you very much for joining me in this lecture.